Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff Stoodt, the musical programmer for the Forbes House Museum. And I'm here in the studios of Cable Local Access because I'd like to interview an artist who's appearing at the library in just a couple of hours. So this is kind of the pre-game show, if you will. Ryan Masalik is the composer of a program called Marching Still. It's a musical tribute to Civil War poetry, and it's a perfect fit for what we do at the Forbes House Museum. Our series is called the Heritage Music Series. So what could be more perfect than this? So I'm very glad that you're able to join us, Ryan. Welcome to Milton. And so I've got some questions for you. Tell me the story. It's 2018. And you're visiting Gettysburg.
Yeah, well,
right? Take it from there.
Thanks, Jeff, and thanks for having me. This is cool.
Okay.
2018. It was delayed by a few years. My mother had always promised to, or wanted, I don't know that she promised, but really wanted to take my sister and I to Gettysburg.
And you were raised in California,
Massachusetts.
Right? Oh, okay.
Yes.
So, all right.
New England native.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For whatever reason, we just never got out there because she knew I loved history. And so we got to get to Gettysburg because in fourth grade, we had a bonus assignment, and I always tell this. In fourth grade for history class, there was an extra credit. If you could memorize the Gettysburg Address by the end of the school year, you get your extra credit. I recited it the next day at the expense of my other assignments for that night.
Sure.
Everything else I just think I dumped out. But it's not so much the memorization, it's the desire to learn about Gettysburg and the Civil War. So 2018, I had a family wedding that I was singing out in Western Pennsylvania. I said, now's our chance. I'm going to drive the few hours to Gettysburg. And that's how it started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, and by the way, I'm a retired history teacher. My last 4 years were spent teaching, world history. So I have a taste for history myself, and musical history especially. I mean, I imagine you're a big fan of Ken Burns' Civil War series?
Big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just love it, and I love the music that goes with it. But what made you say that, I'm going to take this poetry and set it to music? That's a formidable task. Why did you decide to take it on?
Yeah, it just kind of happened. I didn't have any, ideas going in. I know what to expect, going to the park and the battlefield. But it was on the way out. I only had a couple days there, which you really need, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
You really need several days if you can. On the way out downtown, there's a bookstore there called For the Historian. And that'll get you off the street inside. And there's this, I'm looking around, and there's this book on the bottom shelf, just one copy, Civil War poetry. And I just thought, that's interesting. I mean, I know, familiar enough with music of that era. I mean, so much of our country's history and the heritage is based off of that music.
Mm-hmm.
So having such a personal liking to that style, the poetry thought, I could write some songs. I mean, being a composer.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to do something to make that memory last. If I go to a place and it hits me at the core, I want it to linger and to last. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to just go and then leave, which would have been great enough. But bought the book, and then just started writing. And the melodies started hitting and coming, and flipped through. Was on the plane. Oh, this poem, songs of the North, songs of the South. Oh, that's got a nice prose. I'm gonna, nice rhythm. And that was it. And then COVID came, and that was one of my projects for COVID, was writing the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess the poetry itself has a rhythm that suggests a musical rhythm also, right? Is that how it kind of works? Like, are the lyrics to the songs like the poem word for word, or did you adjust the words at all?
They are word for word, which was important to me. Give or take, there might be a phrase here or there where, depending on the melody and the voices, we might just kind of jump on a word and then go to the next phrase. So it's minuscule. Mm-hmm. But no, I try to keep it as close to the word as I can to not change anything. So because of that, I picked poems that really flowed and fit that, because the whole idea is, if the poet or the author was sitting with the composer, or if it was the same person, how would it have worked? So they fit very well. They sound like songs.
That's great.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it. So you get the idea, you execute the idea, and tell me about taking it on the road. I mean, what were your experiences performing it at first?
A lot of nerves, because you don't know how something's going to be perceived. And yeah, it's history and music, and it's, marching still is not a 100% contemporary. It's not, we're not dressed in costume yet. Our lead soprano has been begging for years since the first show to get dressed up. So we'll give it to her eventually, which would be cool. But it's also not a contemporary, modern, 21st century style. So you don't know how it's going to hit. But I went back then, not long after, to Gettysburg, was passing through Pennsylvania. So I got to stop. I got like 24 hours in town. Had the collection, had the demos, had the music written out. And I just walked around the park in the visitor center and asked, "Hello, my name is Ryan. I have this event. Who do I speak to for events at Gettysburg?" And the next year we were on the battlefield in July, and there's an amphitheater outside that overlooks one of the battlefields. And there we were. So that was the first time.
I have visited Gettysburg also, and I just was so in awe of walking the same paths that our soldiers walked. It's really something, and I think every American should experience it, to be in that place. Now, these poets, is there a name associated with each poem? I mean, what's the story behind the poems? Do you know?
That is an active work, a work in progress. Each poem. So there are no duplicates. So I don't have any poets that have multiple poems in the set. Okay. So every song, every poem is by a different author. Uh-huh. And that's been part of this process, is then finding out who were these authors. In particular, the title of the title poem, "Marching Still," which is the last number that we do in the show. We close out the show with the poem "Marching Still." I spent some time researching, trying to find descendants, ancestry of that author, Minna Irving, lived upstate New York, if I'm correct. But I hope to continue this, to find out who is still around, the thought of the excitement to be able to tell somebody, "Hey, your great-great-grandfather's poem is,
it's alive.
We're trying to keep it alive." Yeah.
I can think of, the other antecedent for what you've done that I know of is there's a folk singer, Greg Brown.
Hmm.
And he put William Blake's poetry to music, an entire album.
Hmm.
And it was quite impressive early in his career. You could look it up later on Spotify or wherever one finds these things.
Yeah.
Is this work on Spotify, just out of curiosity?
It is. There is a very preliminary album that's out. It's completely instrumental, but it's instrumental recordings of the songs.
Mm-hmm.
One of our big goals is getting the resources to record the full studio album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just tell me a little bit about the people that work with you on the show. Now, first of all, the show, is it presented every year at Gettysburg? Is it a regular part of the program?
It is, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
We've been there 3 years consecutively. We'll be back in February of 2025. It's been an official park event now, so we're hoping to continue that. We did in 2023 the 160th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg, and kicked off the events for that weekend, which was nothing short of an honor.
Mm-hmm. So to just place this in context, what kind of music were you doing beforehand? Was it solo folk act? What were you doing?
So I did a lot of acoustic, folk style music. Love John Denver.
Me too.
He's my number one. Yeah. Cool. So, but I love the Irish music.
Mm-hmm.
And I write choral music as well. That's my other my published work is music for choirs and in sacred music. So there's a similar line, in that approach. For me, the most important, I'm the type of composer, the most important thing is the melody. Mm. So whether I'm writing
with you.
Whether I'm writing something for a choir,
Mm-hmm.
For a church or a school, a spiritual piece, or a folk melody that's supposed to resemble mid-1800s Americana, the melody that has to be at the front.
Yeah.
Because it has to be remembered.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, once again, the show is called Marching Still, the program. And it is to follow this interview. So, stick around to watch the show and get yourself down to Gettysburg, It's a spiritual experience and you'll never forget it. Ryan, thank you so much for stopping by for an interview.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My name's Heidi Vaughn. I'm the director of the Forbes House, and we're very pleased to sponsor this group today. Ryan actually reached out to me for when we were doing the Lincoln Centennial last May, and he was nice enough to perform at that event. I don't know if any of you heard him then, but it was wonderful, and I was so delighted to bring him back. And I don't think he's performed this outside Washington, D.C. Gettysburg, sorry. So we are very, very fortunate to have him here tonight. Thank you, Milton Access TV, for filming it. We'll be able to have it on Cable Access TV later. So without further ado, I'm going to let Ryan take it from here.
Thank you, Heidi, and to the Forbes House Museum for hosting Marching Still. Just going to say a few words, get those out of the way, and then we'll get to the poems. This started in 2018 at my first visit to Gettysburg. My mother had always said, as kids growing up, we've got to get you to Gettysburg. I was, a little 2-3-year-old, I think, obsessed with history and music. And it didn't happen, but she made up for it in so many other ways. So it's okay. 2018, made it to Gettysburg for the first time, saw a little book at a shop in downtown Gettysburg, I believe on Baltimore Street. Anybody that's familiar with the town, it's a beautiful town. Titled Civil War Poetry, 1 copy. Bought the book, started writing on the plane, melodies coming to the words and the poems, both north and south. And I really wanted a way to capture my personal experience at Gettysburg. What could I do as a musician, arranger, and composer writing music, my favorite music on earth, which is the Irish Americana 19th century style, that whole realm of genre of music, to Civil War poems. As it says in the program, the whole idea of Marching Still is to imagine what would these poems, that by the way may or may not already have melodies, I don't know. So if any of you are historians or experts in this field and say, hey, that one, that's actually got a melody, a tune that was written, please let me know. But what would this poem, if the author of the poem was at a campfire during the Civil War, and across from him was a buddy with a guitar, what would it have sounded like if it was composed then? Now, I do sway a little bit outside of the circle. We dip a little bit into a contemporary realm. So I'm by no means an expert in this type of music, but that's the idea. So I hope you enjoy. The website you can find on the programs, marchingstilltribute.com. And I find that each time we perform this, we've done it 3 years consecutively at Gettysburg National Military Park as an annual event. It's an honor to bring this to the first time to New England in the Northeast. So much history here, lots of Civil War history. So we are looking forward and hope to see you in the future at more events like this throughout the Northeast. And as I was saying, I find that each time I perform it, I like to talk less and less because the poems speak for themselves. So with that, welcome to Marching Still, a musical tribute to Civil War poetry. Thank you. Now we bring to you our first poem of the evening, the 1037. I like to picture a group of fellas, right, cheering those they've served with and those who they have lost as well.
Our names were 37. There were just 1,000 bayonets.
This brings us to a campsite, and its evening is winding down, nightfall. At least that's what I would imagine. We have only performed this marching still in the sweltering heat of July in Pennsylvania. We have not done it so close to Christmas, so kind of nice. This is Christmas night of 62. Of course, 1862.
I hear the lonely sound.
for marching still is the humanity of war, North and South. These are songs of the North, of the Union, songs of the South. Sometimes you don't know what it is, unless it, some poems that state Jackson, Stonewall Jackson, generals, or a poem later in the show titled "Always Stand on the Union Side." Pretty obvious. But some of them, sometimes they'll see it when he wakes, speak to both sides. The image tells it, and the words tell the story beautifully of a soldier having a letter to his loved one, and the other soldier making sure that that last communication gets home for him. Before we get to our next poem, The General's Death, this is another short excerpt of something a little little pieces thrown throughout the show that aren't poems, but written in the style of, gee, maybe this would be something that soldier would hear in the parlor, at a dinner off the field. So this is one of those, and it features our wonderful flutist for the evening, Grace Helmke. Next, the general's death, and I will warn you, this is a part of marching still where things get a little heavy. They haven't already. So we're going to break it up with a march in the middle. But the power of these words, written 160 some years ago, and I think it's so important that every generation read the stories of those who lived in the past, especially events like the American Civil War. Sure, say some English changes of the language here and there, some words. There's no difference. There's no difference. Really important. So this brings us to the general's death. And if you saw on the slide, the title slide, the black and white photo of the gentleman, and that is the actual general that this poem is based off of. There's a photograph of Francis Miles Finch, author of our next poem, The Blue and the Gray. This poem was the beginning of Memorial Day in America. So this talks about the flowers, the roses, the lilies. That is referring to the first, the creation of Memorial Day, which started after the Civil War. I could be incorrect if it was tail end of it or after, but because of the Civil War, we have the Memorial Day that we currently have. And this is the blue and the gray. And if you've ever been to Gettysburg National Military Park and you've been to a section, Devil's Den, it's a rocky formation with a river, and there's some rocky features similar to the Round Tops, which is more forested, but I always heard this music and these words whenever we've gone through Devil's Den, something about that spot in particular. When they talk about the rivers, the winding rivers being red with the fallen. Beautiful poem, The Blue and the Gray. By the flow of the river, whence the fleets of iron fled.
shall the war cry sever, or the winding rivers be red. They banish our anger forever when they pour o'er the graves of our dead.
Waiting for judgment
This is a fun refrain, so feel free to join in. This is the crowd participation. This is what I pictured them marching through the northern towns and the neighbors coming out and all cheering and singing along. And the regimental band is playing, leading the way. Always stand on the Union side. NC Bisbee.
Always stand on the Union side, battle for the right. With conscience clear, we'll laugh at fear in the midst of the boldest fight. In the midst of the boldest fight. Why turn against our native land, the mother whom we love? Whoever rules with gentle hand, till children reap yet prove. So
Always stand on the Union side.
battle for the right.
Conscience clear, we'll laugh at fear.
In the midst of the boldest fight.
In the midst of the boldest fight.
Always stand on the Union side and keep your powder dry. We'll soon rejoice both far and wide to see secession die. 'Tis better in defense of truth to be bold, brave, and bold than side with traitors and at last be left out in the cold. So
Always stand on the Union side.
battle for the right.
Conscience clear, we'll laugh at fear.
In the midst of the boldest fight.
In the midst of the boldest fight.
Always stand on the Union side. 'Tis better as you see. Having down our valiant arms with
With you down a victory.
If you would have your children learn to speak with holy pride of this their dear beloved land,
Stand on the Union side. Always stand on the Union side.
battle for the right.
Conscience clear, we'll laugh at fear.
In the midst of the boldest fight.
In the midst of the boldest fight.
Thank you. Thank you. Ah, yes, this was the bonus from last year, which is not on the program tonight, headed, but it's a beautiful poem nonetheless of an author unknown. Just stunning words. Send them home tenderly, also author unknown. And that's what I found. I would hate if there was an author, perhaps a name that got lost. I'm part of this research and this marching still journey is also now finding who are the descendants and the relatives of these authors. Are they still living? I'll say a little bit about the final poem at the end in terms of that. But yeah, any information that I can find, I would love to be able to say to a great, great, great niece, hey, your third great uncle, his poem, his poetry, it's still alive today. So this is Send Them Home Tenderly, and we'll feature one of our sopranos, Carly Reed.
Send them home tenderly, sleepers at rest, with hands meekly folded on each silent breast. Let them come back to slumber beneath northern skies, where true hearts may weep over them and prayer incense rise. Send them home tenderly, the noble and true, scarce gone from their hearthstones, scarce whispered adieu. Gone forth for their country, its rights to sustain, but all bleeding and lifeless, returning again. Send them home tenderly, unmartyred and brave, with stars and stripes around them, en route for the grave. Bereaved mothers shall clasp them in pride to their breast, and the good of our nation shall weep where they Send them home tenderly, each wound gaping wide, shall send myriads of voices from the dark purple light. And strong hands shall be grasping the bright unsheathed sword, with fresh
next two poems, yes, there's a bonus poem tonight. Before we lead into The Dirge for a Soldier, Lay Him Low by George Henry Boker. But the poem I'm going to sing right now is going to lead into Lay Him Low, called, it is in the program, Tell the Boys the War Has Ended. And if you go to YouTube and you type that in, or go to the website, there's a link to a video on YouTube of this poem, this performance from one of the Gettysburg live performances. And the house that you see, that stone house in the video in the backdrop, the sky behind it in the fields, was General Lee's headquarters during the 3 days of the Battle of Gettysburg. That is the house that you will see in the video. This is Tell the Boys the War Has Ended.
Tell
Again, I would like to thank you all for attending tonight's performance of Marching Still. Just want to introduce again on the flute, Grace Helke. Our strong alto, Janet Lash. Our wife, Mary Grace. And Carly Reedy. I encourage you to please go to the website, take a program, take 5, take 10, take them all, and share with friends and societies and educators and teachers and classrooms, wherever you are. And all of the information is on the website. You can watch all of the previous concerts from Gettysburg on the website, and eventually, I believe, including tonight's as well.
Correct.
Yes, so thank you again, and we will be in Gettysburg at the National Military Park, February 15th, 2025, and we hope to see every single one of you there. The final poem, Marching Still, was in fact, when I wrote the collection of the songs and the melodies, this was the last melody I wrote, and I found the poem online, and I wasn't, expecting to, and it just, months after I'd written what I thought was the finished work, but it wasn't yet. I'm a strong believer that history and experiences live on in all kinds of ways. And there's no doubt, I think, that you will agree when you read these words that this poem was not going to allow this event to happen without being a part of the collection of these other poems. It tells the story, again, speaks for itself. This is what I believe is a fictional story. There's nothing historically specific from what I know that this talks about. But it tells the story of a widowed mother who has 7 sons. They all go off and serve in the war. And we will let the words of Minna Irving tell the rest of the story. Marching Still.